Like old times. What do you want? Name, rank, and employee number? Tom Brandt with Overland Park Fire Department, 35 years, captain. To the best of my knowledge, I've outlasted everyone in the county that was employed when I got hired. To the best of my knowledge. Not that that's something to be proud of, but it may be a fact, I don't know. Keith and Scott Casey, some recent guys that have retired from Overland Park, grew up in the fire service. Their family was, it's generations and all that. I did not have that. My dad was a small businessman, owned his own business, raised all of us kids, provided for the family, but his business was fire and water damage restoration. So he oftentimes had off-duty firefighters working for him. And one in particular, named Billy Brandt, worked for Kansas City, Missouri Fire Department, B-R-A-N-S. And my older brother Bill worked for my dad and got to be good friends with Billy. And my older brother Bill got hired by Kansas City, Missouri Fire Department. It was just like tongues of fire coming down, because I saw that and I thought, well, he's normal. He's just an everyday guy. That's my brother. That's my brother Bill. And yet now it's different. Now he's different. He's got that uniform on. I didn't know those guys. It sounds ridiculous to say it, but I didn't know those guys were normal people. They were something else. They came from somewhere else, and yet here my brother Bill showed me that they are normal guys. And if a mere mortal like Bill could do it, maybe I could do that, And so that got the ball rolling. I took one of the first fire science courses out at Johnson County Community College. Got to meet some of the guys from the county in those classes. Of course, I was an outsider. They all knew each other. I was a complete outsider, but they were nice guys. Treated me, this kid, this baby, treated me well. I honestly don't know that I ever had thought of it as a career forever. I thought it was something I could do for a while. It would be fun. Then I got a little older and I thought, I had other interests. I thought maybe a career in law somehow, was going to go to law school. And, went back to school, got my undergraduate degree, actually applied and got accepted at American University, George Washington School of Law, one of 6,000 applicants, got accepted, and when it came time to accept it, to go, I couldn't do it. I couldn't leave. I had a great job with guys I liked and a life I liked, and I thought, it was just one of those crossroads. And there's no question my life would have turned out very, very differently had I done that. I would have been off to DC and been a liberal attorney or something crazy like that instead of what I am. I would prefer to have started in Overland Park, but Overland Park wasn't hiring and Olathe was. So I started in Olathe, and as opportunities open up, people move I found out that Overland Park was hiring. Had a conversation with Chief Bookard, and he said he was interested in hiring me. He said, you got to take the test, pass the test, and you come work here. And I said, all right, and, you know, that'd be great. I came in 1985. I came to Overland Park. Keith, at his retirement, he was talking about how he got sent to Al Dedrick's shift, and Al Dedrick was train, practice to the point of grabbing the hose, counting your steps. By this many steps, the hose will be out, and you can do this and do that and all. That was not my experience. I got assigned to the shift of the kids that rode the short bus. They would give the impression that they were a bunch of ne'er-do-wells and didn't know anything because they're always cutting up and jacking around. There were a couple of them that I thought, these guys are screw-offs. What the heck? You know, what am I doing here? And then you would run a call with them and the switch was flipped and it was all business. And there was nothing casual about any of it. They knew their business, they knew their job, they knew what needed to be done, they did it, they made no show about it. It was all very matter of fact, but they were all about know your job, know your stuff, don't let anybody down. I always felt like it was my responsibility to be proficient as an individual with my tools so that when those opportunities came, I was trainable, I was teachable. I knew the equipment, I knew about this. They could teach me how to use it, you know, tips and tricks and that kind of thing. So my shifts initially, the companies I was with were not the big hard-hitting make every day a training day and all that. It was, you work hard, you measure up. I mean, God helped, I didn't want to let them down. I didn't want to be a disappointment to them, and I didn't want to be the weak link on the shift. And so you did everything you could to be as good as you could, and hopefully you hit the mark, made the standard, made the cut, and they would want to keep you around. The guys whose shoulders I stand on are the John Cazarts, Richard Stump, Buck Heath, but those kinds of guys, Jim Coyner, Jim Rob McKenzie was one of my first captains. I think he was my very first captain. I don't remember, I think by the time I got to Overland Park, we were done with 3/4 boots. So I think, as I recall, we were already wearing bunker pants all the time. We had just transitioned out of the red ball gloves, which were horrible. That was a good thing. Open cabs, open jump seats, the whole, well, I never rode a tailboard in Overland Park. I rode a tailboard in Olathe, and I mean, you talk about something being different. I'm glad. I mean, it was a neat experience, and it's been cool over the years to be able to say, I got to do that. I was one of the last, but ridiculously stupid. They didn't even give me a belt. It was, you just hung on. You just hung on, and that was it. We were wearing MSA air packs. We had by that time we had transitioned away from the steel bottles that weighed an incredible amount, and we were into aluminum bottles, aluminum cylinders, and but the positive pressure was new. You know, you had to flip a switch to get positive pressure. The cab, like I said, the jump seats were open. I was surprised the drivers at Overland Park had much more discretion than the drivers in Olathe did. I came back and asked them one call. We had gone on a call somewhere, I don't remember where, and went around the Cloverleaf on 2 wheels. I mean, there's no question in my mind that truck was on 2 wheels at some point. And I asked them don't you guys have a policy here about speed? Or he said, as fast as conditions will bear. I said, okay, you know, there you have it. I would say I had a very fortunate rise through the ranks. I was a firefighter in Olathe. I came here, started over as a firefighter here. I think, as I recall, it was about 7 years I made lieutenant, and about 7 years after that I made captain. You know, I like running the calls. I had a remarkably long uninterrupted run at Station 1. And that suits me fine. I like Station 1's district. We have a variety. We have the, you know, the retirees, the elderly. We have the Section 8 housing. We have the high-rise. We have the highway. So we get a good variety of calls. There's one story, the guy, it was the best compliment I ever got in my life. If we go to a building fire, the owner of the building arrives. We've got guys upstairs working. I'm downstairs in the lobby, kind of running things. The man comes in and he's a very dapper, elderly guy. And he starts talking to me, he starts asking questions, and you can tell he's stressed. The guy's probably been a salesman his whole life, probably very successful, bought this building. It's everything he's got. It's everything he's worked for his whole life, and now it's on fire. And he's down here in the lobby and he can't go up, and it's driving him crazy, and he's pacing back and forth. I explained to him in my calmest voice, we're taking care of it. Whatever's going on up there, we're taking care of it. We got guys up there. I'll keep you updated. Just stay close by here, but stay off to one side and plant myself. And I'm not going to follow him around, but I plant myself and I'll talk to him as he goes by and smile when it's appropriate to smile. And he starts calming down, and he starts slowing down, and pretty soon he's okay. And I think he's believing me that we're going to take care of this for him. And he looked at me and he goes, I'm glad you're here, but you should be selling Bibles. And this is a guy who's obviously been a salesman, a businessman. He knows. And for him to leap to there from where he is today, from his building's burning up, to telling me that he's glad I'm there, but I'm so convincing that I should be selling Bibles, to me it was absolutely the best compliment I've ever received in 40 years of dealing with the public. I thought, okay, I'm on the right track. I'm doing something right here. The first day we put on the uniform, the public doesn't know we're a new guy. They don't know we're a probie. To them, we're the guy that helped their grandmother 10 years ago, or we're the guy that helped their child last week. And they don't know that I'm brand new. And so they talk to you like you have an established credibility and reputation, and they owe you and they want to thank you. And you then spend the next 35 years earning that respect that they gave you on day one, that the guys, the Kazarts, the Stumps, the Heaths, the Pat Mazes, the Phil Harpers, the Jim Brookers, those guys, those are the guys they're thanking. You just happen to be standing there wearing the same uniform they wore. And so you have an incredible responsibility to then earn that, and to not let those guys down, to not let the next guy down, so that when they see the new guy today, tomorrow, next week, they'll thank him. Those are the things that make you stay for 40 years, really. I got the phone call that I had the job, first fireman job in Olathe, on my 19th birthday. It was a Saturday morning, I was laying there in bed, I heard the phone ring. My dad answered it, and my room's right there, so I could hear the conversation. I could hear one side of the conversation, and he hung up the phone. My mom said, "Well, who was that?" And my dad said, "Well, that was the fire department. They want Tom to go to work Thursday." And my mom said, "Well, do we have to tell him?" And, you know, my dad, of course, and I knew, she knew the answer was, of course, you have to tell him, you know, and they did. When I got up and stumbled out of bed and went out, they told me. But I always knew that my mom was worried about me. And I knew I had to mind my P's and Q's, and I had to be good at what I did. And all of the guys that came through these doors over all of those years and worked for me all had moms, and they all cared about them that much. And they all, I think, probably reluctantly let their children become firemen because, I don't know, you know, they need to do it, they want to do it, whatever. But if moms were selfish, we may not have any firemen because they'd all keep them home. They'd all keep them in something safe. And we owe it to them. We owe it to everyone's moms, their wives, their sons, their children, their daughters, their spouses, to keep them safe and to do our best to keep them safe. You don't get to be a credible, seasoned 40-year veteran. You're not born that way. You come in as green as the greenest guy that ever was, and you pay attention and you learn, and people help you and they teach you, and you help each other and you get better, and you don't want to let those people down, so you try harder. And that is still going on today, this very day, every day it's still going on. And those people will keep marching on. And OPFD is going to be as good as or better after I'm gone as it was before I got here and while I was here. There's no doubt in my mind. I mean, no doubt. It's flattering when they say, "Oh, we're losing 100 and some years." You know, it's nice because they're paying you a compliment, but the reality is they'll roll on. It'll roll on. It's all going to be good. They're all good. I do try to better myself. I don't know where I'm going with that. I don't know what's useful and what's not in these video things. Ask the guys on at 1A about Apotham. This is a long story. You know me, I'll just keep going.
Something good will come out.
If I just keep talking long enough, something will make sense.